Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Tell Your Story. I'm your host, Todd Nesloni, and each episode I look to bring you a different guest who has encouraged, inspired, or challenged me in one way or another and bring them on to share some of their story in hopes that it inspires you to tell some of yours. Okay, guys, I could not be more excited about today's guest. Like, I have lost sleep with excitement over this. And so if you don't already recognize him, my guest today is a childhood hero of mine, Jason David Frank. Jason, tell everybody kind of who you are. And all I can say is I still can't believe you're actually here. And thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, no problem, buddy. No problem. Let me grab one of my helmets there. It's Jason David Frank, the guy with the first three names. I've been the Green Ranger, White Ranger, Red Zeo, Red Turbo, Black Dino Thunder, Lord Draken, and now the Legend of the White Dragon that's just getting launched in about 12 hours. The campaign's over, but here we are right here, Green Ranger. So that is the super powered beatdown helmet. So, but yeah, thanks for having me on the show, man. I'm kind of new to all the Zoom and all this other stuff, which is, but actually during this time, I've been using it a lot, and even Instagram Live, just reaching out to people during these times. So as soon as Wade's a good friend of mine, and he inboxed me. I was like, yeah, no problem, man. So, and I'm always down to do things. So definitely didn't want to let you down. And unfortunately, all the links weren't working. And then I was walking down. I said, let me just try this real quick. And then it came through, and I was like, oh, let me go upstairs and put it in the office. So appreciate you.
Yeah, and big shout out, like you said, to Wade King for hooking this up. He's a great friend of mine, and I will forever be indebted to him. But I mean, you can tell I mentioned it to you before, but I've got your picture over here that's autographed that one of my teachers got me because she knew I was such a fan. So I'm excited to get to chat and kind of spend a couple minutes with you today. So of course,
sure, man.
I love starting out with my guests, just thinking back all the way into childhood. When you were growing up, like, did you have this dream to be like this star, or like, what did you want to be when you were a kid?
Well, first of all, I see people are probably going to ask if we got the red T-shirt deal memo. We didn't know we were wearing red, by the way, so we didn't text each other. It just happened to wear it. But, yeah, when I was a kid, I tell people that I was an actor because I was acting up. But I just, as a kid, I gave another 12-year-old some advice today. And I told him just keep focused himself. Sometimes things change, like we want to do something and then things change. Of course, I was a kid. I wanted to be, a cop, a lawyer, a doctor, an astronaut. All these things changed, but I think my destiny was being an actor, and I always wanted to act as a kid, but it wasn't the fame. It wasn't the money. It was just part of being an actor, I guess. You get to act not like you for a certain amount of time. Although I did create Tommy to be a lot like me when I got the show. So yeah, just growing up, I was a martial artist. I was a black belt at the age of 12. Wow. Definitely wanted to grow up to teach people. Yeah. I mean, it's funny because that is still my number one passion is my karate schools. Yeah. I love it. I can do it all day long. I could talk to people. I could teach, especially little 2-year-olds. If you could teach a 2-year-old, then you can teach an adult. And then I went to Wade School, and that's the cool thing is that kids, I love kids. Yeah. And so, yeah, I wanted, to be a black belt, wanted to grow up and be an actor. And then at the age of 12, I just, like that kid who was on my Instagram 12, mm-hmm. I modeled at that time, and I was just captivated by, it's hard to explain. It's just what it was. Like, right. I love, being in front of the camera. I love, I guess I collected comics. So I was really big in comics. So when I was a kid, I would, play toys and create all these different universes, and it got me out of my head. So I enjoy doing it. And then when I was 12, I did a modeling job. For whatever reason, they changed my name to a different name. So I did a little modeling job, did some acting and skateboard. I had a skateboard, even though I wasn't that good at skateboarding. And then from then on, it just happened. I went to an agency. I had long hair. I had earrings. I looked just like Tommy looked because, I had the long hair and earrings. Then an agency basically said, oh, we'll represent you. You got a good look. You got charisma, but we need you to clean yourself up. We need you to cut your hair, take your earrings, because no one's going to hire you. And I was thinking, I want to be an actor. Okay, I'll suck it up. So I cut my hair, took my earrings out, went back to the agency, like literally the next day. And they said they were too busy. I'm booking a Coca-Cola commercial. I don't have time for this. So I was pretty persistent. I said, look, I cut my hair. I took my earrings out. I don't know what to tell you. I need something. I need an audition. I was pretty persistent. And he was kind of ignoring me on the phone. And then I was standing there and it was, okay, here's a script. It was called Phantoms. And he said, we're even. And then sure enough, it was Power Rangers. And then after that, everybody, you know, wanted to represent me at that time. Even him, which I was trying to be fair.
Yeah.
I was young. You know, I was going to go back and say, hey, you know, here's a percentage of it or whatever. Cause I know, you know, you guys, you know, originally, you know, tried to hook me up. Anyway, I tried to be fair. It turned into this big, long civil legal case, which I just represented myself.
Yeah.
I spoke the truth, exactly what happened. And the case was dismissed. So sometimes when you know the truth and you're honest about things and you care about people, like, you know, really care. I even cared about going on your thing. And I'm just so glad it worked out. But when you care and have a heart, I think you can get through life and anything you do.
You know, and I think that's brilliant advice and such important things for everybody to hear about just making sure that you're persistent, you stick with it, but that you just care and have a good heart throughout all of it. And, you know, that led to you getting what many would consider your big break. And, you know, I remember being a kid, I had all the toys, I had all the video games. Even when it was a McDonald's toy, like we would go every single day to hopefully try to collect all of them. And I still have some of them saved away somewhere. But you know, thinking about that Power Rangers and how looking back, it was such a huge part of so many in my age group's childhood. At the time when you were involved in it, did it feel as big as it was to you, or was it just so out of your understanding in that moment?
Yeah, it's weird because people ask if I watched it or saw it, and I was kind of in it. And it's funny you mentioned the McDonald's commercial because I'm definitely going to Google that afterwards. I was super busy. And they're like, you have ADR, which is audio dialogue replacement. You have ADR. And I was like, oh my God, I'm doing the movies and I'm filming. And they're like, it's for McDonald's. And I was like, give me the script. I'll do it. And I did. And I went there. I think I said, sir, are you going to eat those fries? Which I'll have to Google the commercial. Very few lines. And then that became a huge thing. And I was like, McDonald's. Things were going super fast for me. But for myself, I slow things down. And I know a lot of motivators will say, okay, are you living in the past, the present, or the future? And everyone always says, aim for the future, aim for the future. Don't live in the past. But I lived in the present. And the reason why I live in the present to have a better tomorrow is if I put 100% energy into what I have today. Like even Karen, I was like, oh God, I was going to text you and say, okay, we'll have to, you know, make it up. But if I put 100% energy in today, I'll have a better tomorrow. So I didn't really look what it was going to be like 20 years, 25 years, because who wants to think of that? And then Universal Studios hit, and we had this tour, and we sold out the tour. And I remember driving in and, you know, kids, hey, and I was like, oh my God, this is like such a huge universe. And then I went to Hawaii, and 5,000 people showed up at the airport. And I said, oh man, who's here? Like, I want to get in on some of that action. Like, who's here? I want to take a picture. They're like, you are. And I was like, oh, we are. I was like, that's it. And huge. Then I did an appearance at a mall. And I think this hit me the biggest. J.W. Morgan. I think my mom loved the radio show. I have to Google that too. But I went to a mall to sign autographs for kids. And I'm not one like to go to a mall or anything like that at that time. But I said, yeah, I'll do it. I signed autographs, and Santa Claus was there. So it was either sit on Santa Claus's lap or come in Tommy Oliver's line. Yeah. And I had about 5,000 people in my line, which I just found the articles that said Tommy beat out Santa Claus. And that, I think, hit me and was like, wow, you know. And then again, I had to put as much energy into I had that day signing to that kid. So it just kind of escalated. And that's what I do now. And even with the Legend of the White Dragon, I think our campaign ends in 12 hours. I mean, we were out there. I'm passionate about it. I spend time with people, and that thing's hit 4 times its goal than we originally anticipated, is because I think I have 3 things. You have purpose. We all have a purpose in life. We're definitely passionate. You're passionate about it. I'm passionate about it. We have patience, which we have to have. And then later on, last comes profit. But you can't get profit if you don't have the passion, the purpose, and the patience.
Right.
That's why as a kid, I never wanted to be a rich movie star. That's not what I intended. It just felt good. It felt right. And I guess reaching out to people and kids was the best thing. So your answer to that is, did it feel like it? It didn't feel like it then because you guys were small. But as you guys got older and more responsible and got rid of your mom and dad for telling you not to watch Power Rangers and, coming to Comic-Cons and buying toys, the fan base is much larger because everyone grew up. And now you guys, you have things like this. As a kid, you wouldn't have a podcast or doing your tell your stories things. So it definitely seems like a really big universe now. But again, I have to humble myself every day and do what I think my purpose is.
Well, and that's what I love about you and some of your cast members is that y'all continue to interact with fans. And, you've stayed with the series through different iterations and different things like that. And so, my question then is, you have all this fame come at you. You continue to do projects, whether they're movies, TV show. How do you not let all of that consume you? And you see so many child stars who just didn't keep it together. What did you do to kind of hold it together where you could sustain a career for this many decades?
It's funny you say that because one of my friends is releasing like younger Tommy and older Tommy and advice. So he asked if I want to do an audio clip. I said, sure. And I did an audio clip of what I would tell myself as, and I have it written on my phone. It's coming out, but basically there's things that I probably wouldn't tell the young Tommy or the young JDF to do, because these are things that we need to learn. And it's the experiences that we have to go through. If you fall, you got to get back up. And I think karate gave me the discipline and the longevity of what I need. But anyway, on the end of that whole segment, which I write poetry stuff too, and I'll tell you in a second, but on the end of that segment, it said your longevity will leave your legacy. So the longevity of who you are will leave the legacy, and the legacy needs to have longevity. You can't be, a legend legend, basically. People calling me a legend when you're older. It's, Stan Lee's a legend, and the reason why he's a legend is because he has longevity of who he is. And so I started a long time ago. I have all these poems. It sounds weird, but I wrote years and years and years. Right. And there's just so much in here that I write. I released the JDF Spoken Truth. And I just want to let people know I go through what you guys go through. And I think that's relatable and likable is when you could really not change how we were. We're going to do our thing, action, cut. The conversation will still go on the same, even if I said, hey, thanks for having me, which I will. It's not going to feel like, all right, it's real stuff. And, and dealing with that, dude, I've had, falls and I had to rise myself back up. But I think the karate and the discipline and just knowing that someone's there that you can make your day. One person, if you have one person following you, great, be happy, be blessed. It doesn't matter if there's one or 100 million. Right. If you had 100 million, you got to treat everyone like the first person. At Comic-Con, I have tons of, not now, but because we're closed down, but thousands of people waiting for me. Yeah. And I always think, I'd hate to be number 1999, the last guy to come up to get an autograph. Yeah. So I keep my standards that I have to treat the last person like the first. Yeah. And that's just how I live my life, is that you have to set your own standards. If you don't set your own standards, then really who we are. Right. I mean, it's not about signing a contract to being on your show. It's about, yeah, sure, let me try to make it, and then we'll figure it out. You know what I mean? So,
and I think that is so reflective of the truth of what you're saying and not just words that you're spewing, because I think, when you're in this kind of business, you can't maintain a career if what you're saying isn't who you really are. And so I love that that's kind of what you share. And I love also the idea of if there's 2,000 people in line, person 1,999 gets the same JDF as the rest of the people in line. And that means so much because, each person has their own individual experience with their interaction with you. So for anybody listening today, just that reminder of every single person that you come in contact with, give them the best you, because that's the only you they're getting in that moment. So I love that. But you're also you're doing this great work with schools and kids. So tell me about that.
Well, shoot, I've been doing karate for the longest time. I taught at the age of 12. My instructor was Chris Casamassa. He was the original Mortal Kombat in the movies. So I grew up with all this stuff. But to me, it was just my instructors. Like my dad told me yesterday on Memorial Day, hey, son, in 1967, I was in the Army and all this. And I said, Dad, I totally forgot. I posted, thank you for your service to everyone around the world, because he was my dad. I didn't look at him as he was in the military, he did this. So when I grew up in my karate schools, they were just my karate instructors. So it was, I always taught my whole entire life. I had karate schools. Even when I got the show, I owned a karate school. The first karate school that I ever owned is the first karate school that I trained at. So it's true. I mean, I trained there, and then my instructor said, okay, I was 18. I said, hey, I'd like to buy the school, and he was going to pursue some other stuff. And I bought the school. So I'm sitting there as the boss when I used to train there as a kid. And so I had to decide, is it going to be Power Ranger or is it going to be karate? So I did both. I mean, I had my schools during it. My karate schools, the yin and the yang. That's why it's just been crazy in the last few months during the quarantine stuff. I mean, I had to build an office, give myself a schedule, train a little bit, because I think that really held me together. Is go out there, you could punch a bag, you could train. So I always had karate schools, literally probably 2 miles down the road from Power Ranger set is where my karate school was. So I'd go to, do Power Rangers. My guys would work karate and I would train. And I think that's what people, when they come into the school now, it's like, oh my God, Power Rangers. But back then it was just straight karate school. And even now, I'm like, if you want to come in, we need to lose all the Power Ranger stuff, because when you're on the floor, it can become dangerous when you're still thinking about other things. So people that train with me just want to train. And the fact is, on Power Rangers is even bigger and better on top.
Right.
And that's why when I went to Wade School, kids were amazing over there. And my friend Justin, who filmed, actually works for Athlete, this company. That's why I wore the short. It was just right there. So I was thinking, weird. Wade is a friend. And then Justin now worked for Wade, and now he works for Athlete. So it all connects together. And I don't think people give credit enough to people. When you're in a spotlight, like a big spotlight as an actor, it's very easy to talk all about you.
Yeah.
This is what I did, and this is what I did. And I go to Comic-Cons all the time, and I see a lot of those people. I'm thinking, okay, cool, about you. What about the people that was there for you? What about your friends?
Right.
And writing my poetry stuff wasn't easy. I tell people it's tough to write your feelings. Like you said, it's not just the words I speak.
Right.
Sure, we all make mistakes. I mean, 10 years, I haven't drank in 10 years. Nothing wrong with drinking, but I promised myself, and I didn't have an issue. I think maybe when you ask now things, I didn't take the alcohol route. I mean, I stopped drinking when I was 18, went in Power Rangers, didn't drink till I was, 6-7 years into it. Maybe celebrated a little bit while everyone else is out there doing this and being invited into parties and there's drugs. Not me. I just didn't want that. And even in the last 10 years, I just haven't drank alcohol. And, I think that's probably some of the reasons why I think I succeeded more.
Right.
Is that my fans become my accountability partners.
Right.
So the last thing I want to do is have a shot on the show with you guys, even though that would be amazing. To people always say that it'd be amazing to have a beer with the Green Ranger, but most likely I'm going to give you some dad wisdom or grandpa wisdom, and it's still fun to go out and things. But I'm just saying, maybe you got me thinking of how and why. I think it's the discipline and that drive of not wanting to fail.
Well,
you know?
you mentioned the not wanting to fail, and you mentioned all the lessons learned through the karate and everything like that. And so my question for you is, in all of these tell your stories, at some point I try and ask a question about how you deal with doubt, because obviously you're in this hyper focused world where everybody wants to tell you their opinion of who you are, of what you're doing wrong, of ways you could do it better. Everybody behind a computer screen can say whatever they want now. And so how do you personally, being somebody that's in the public so much, not allow the thoughts of others to consume you? How do you keep doubt from taking root in your own life?
That's tough. I mean, I got my daughter too, and I try to tell people the truth.
Yeah.
The truth about things is that, number one, is everyone wants to be accepted and loved. I don't care who you are. It's the number one thing on the list. Every motivator guy can teach you the same thing. And there's that old saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. They do. It's just we try to ignore them. And when we say, I don't care, we're justifying.
Right.
We're justifying the truth that we really do care. And, at one point when I was on the social media, people would say something and I just let it go. And I really think, God, that was rude,
Yeah.
and I'd let it get to me. Now, instead of trying to ignore the bad or get negativity post, I try to be as positive as I can and honest as I can. Therefore, it can take the people away to talk crap about you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So that's why I like this spoken truth stuff, which I'm going to release a book, is just truth of things, little statements, and nobody can really judge your feelings.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's why I do feelings. If you do theories, then it's going to turn into politics. So if you do feelings, how could someone be upset or say that's not the right thing to do because it's my feelings? So that took a lot for me to do, a lot. Even now I'll post a poem and I'll go there and I'll get thousands and thousands of likes, and then, 28 thumbs down. Right. Until I realize the statistics of life, and the true statistics of life, that 25% of the people that will never like you no matter what you do. That's just this is statistics for anyone. 25% of the people will just never like you. And that means people you meet that just will never like you. 25% of your people will always have your back no matter what. JDF is the man. JDF's the man. And then the 25% and the other 25% are either people that know you, right? That try to persuade the people like, no, he is cool. And you got to meet him. And then you got the people that go, I heard this about him. And then you got the people saying, no. So it's vice versa. People telling them he's not good, and other people saying he is good. And so you have this balance. And when I learned that, I realized that 25% of the posts or negative comments would come and go, but I don't have that many on Instagram. I really don't. It's because I think I'm truthful. I'm honest. I let people know, hey, I was a kid that dealt with ADD stuff. I was a kid that, dealt with these emotions, and I still get like that. Right. I mean, yesterday was a hard day, but on the end of the day, what are we going to do? If we're in war and we have a battle, we lost this battle, we lost that battle, and we have a war that we have to win. On the end of the day, if you haven't ate, you haven't slept, I'm going to tell you, we need to go. You need to pick up your gun and we need to fight. And the people that, I don't want to, are the people that are going to be left behind. Those are the people I think that when an opportunity happens or something leaves you, they're crying and they're too close to the camera like this and looking and crying about this door. But if we step back, we see more doors of opportunities because we're sitting there. I don't know why this happened. I don't know why this happened. I don't know why this virus happened. Well, there's reasons behind it. I don't know why either, but there's got to be reasons of people appreciating things now and reaching out to people, or even us connecting during this time. Is it related to someone else that needs to hear this message, right? Or what's the purpose? There is a purpose behind it. But sometimes we got to step back and look at the different doors. And I think a door of opportunity, when you walk through it, might detour you back to this behind the door. That's how you get in. Mm-hmm. So I guess we just got to look at life like that. And I could speak it and I can tell you, this is what we need to do. But man, I tell you truthfully, I go through the ups and downs. And when I'm out of down, something like this will pull me out of it, and to hear something, and to the things I speak is to remind myself, And I
Well,
think a
and I
lot of
love what you just shared there, just about just you focus so much on just being that positive force and sharing just like your heart. And it's hard for people to be like rude and hateful when that's the stance you take, is I'm just going to be a positive voice that shares just my heart and what I love and care about. And so I think that that's a great example there. And Jason, one question as we wrap this up that I always love to end these conversations on is, I believe as people, there are things that we hold really true to our hearts and who we are. And so for anybody who might be listening or watching today, if they were to walk away with one thing, what would your one thing be for them?
Well, I would always do these interviews and talk so much and be so sporadic with ADD. And I had to sum it up to one thing, that I had to go back in my life and remember to always say, I can. And the reason and the proof behind this I can is because when I was little, I used to kick, and my instructor would say, kick the ceilings nice and high. And I can't. What'd you say? I can't. Drop, give me 10. Get up, kick the ceiling. And it was super high. I can't. Drop and give me 10. Until I said, what am I supposed to say? I don't know what to say. I'll try. I'll do my best.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. And I'm going to do it. And when that happened, I changed my outlook. I never kicked the ceiling, but it was the truth of always thinking, I can, I can, I can. And when Power Rangers happened, everybody told me not to take the role. Everybody. Agencies wouldn't represent me. Producers, I don't even think a lot of people know, but when I got hired, the show was canceled during the first season. I mean, the network canceled the show and only allowed 3 time slots to go. And then we killed the ratings. So I think the biggest thing for me is to tell people is that I can and I will,
Right.
not I can't and I won't.
Right.
And I'm telling you, if you could hold yourself accountable to not the what if we could have done. I hate the what ifs, the news. What if presidents, like, guys, quit talking about what if and let's talk about the present and the future.
Yes.
And so I'm not a what if guy, but I really am a man of my word. I mean, I'm a businessman. If I tell you something, I really mean it. And, your word is golden. So that's all we have in life is our word. So on the end of the day, if you don't hold yourself accountable and you slack, see, I'm my own boss. I'm the CEO of my life. God's a CEO, but I'm my own boss. I set my standards.
Yeah.
You don't have to go through someone else. Wade said, go, bam. I'm not going to refer you to an agent or a manager. That's stalling and delaying. So really own up to who you are and what you do. And, you should care.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You should care about your word,
Right.
not other people. And you can't buy trust. You know what I mean? And that's one thing I learned. My dad always taught me is that your word is gold.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, contracts can be broken. What's the difference of signing it with ink when you're not a man of your word?
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense. You know what I mean?
I love that. Well, Jason, I cannot tell you, I don't even want to say thank you because I don't feel like those words are big enough. Like I said, I have been looking forward to this conversation. You have been a hero of mine since I was 9-10 years old. And I have just always dreamed of meeting a Power Ranger. And today I got my shirt on, I got to meet one. And so this has been the best experience. So thank you for not only just sharing some of your brilliance today, but just taking the time to talk with somebody. You have no idea who I am or where I'm from, but you took a chance, and I appreciate you so much.
Yeah, no problem. And I know I'll let you go in a second, but that's what you got to do, is that you got to treat everyone equal.
Yeah.
And that's the key to my success, is that I meet people. I don't know who you are, what you do, where your stuff. I just know someone referred. And I just know that if you came up to me at a Comic-Con, I don't care who you are. Yeah, I'll take the time with you. And I think I've been, I wouldn't even say lucky. I've been blessed to treat everyone the same, because now Bat in the Sun, now we got the Legend of the White Dragon, same thing with Aaron. I've met so many people before at my lowest, but tried to, connect and connect with people. And that's what you need to do. If you want to be successful, stop looking at numbers. And with Power Rangers, no one believed in it, but now the numbers are there and everybody wants to do it. And sometimes you got to believe in yourself, hold yourself accountable to your standards, and treat everyone equal, because you never know who you're going to treat, who you're going to run into. And when you give, don't expect to get back. Because when you give, you just give. No one, if you loan a friend $10 and you're thinking about it all the time, you just need to give it. All your friends out there are probably going to get the money. But the true people will give back to you, and you will get it back, and it'll be a blessing in life. Oh, wow. Instead of expecting things back. So I never expect things. I just know that the purpose and passion, and someone's listening. And if I made your day, dude, you have made my day as well. And I just want to thank you as well.
Well, thank you. And thank you everybody for listening or watching another episode of Tell Your Story. I hope today's conversation has encouraged you to get out there and tell your story, because every story matters.